From inside Normal Community High School, it's time for playoff basketball as you see the Peoria Notre Dame Irish enter the building. They haven't lost a playoff basketball game in well over a year. The Champaign Centennial Chargers sure have their work cut out for them, but yesterday they came off a win against a tough Normal West squad here on this floor as we welcome you into the West Gym at Normal Community High School. Larry Larson alongside John Camosa bringing you Big 12 Boys Tournament Basketball. It's the number 1 seeded 14-1 Peoria Notre Dame Irish taking on the Champaign Centennial Chargers, who sit at 6-5. And John, anytime you talk P&D in the playoffs, you know you're about to see some good basketball.
Yeah, this is a team that's always primed and ready to go in the postseason, Larry. And after that regular season loss to Peoria High, Notre Dame's really been clicking on all cylinders, and this is a perfect time to enter into this tournament as hot as they are.
John, let's look at the other side of things with the Champaign Centennial Chargers. As we mentioned, coming off a win against Normal West yesterday. They got out to a very hot start, especially in the third quarter out of the halftime locker room, but it got close at the end.
Yeah, and they got a lot of production inside from Amarion Parker. Also, Jack Young Jr. is very productive inside. They could shoot the 3 ball, but that Notre Dame zone defense can definitely limit them.
It's Charger ball to start us off, and let's get you the Charger starters. It'll be Amarion Parker. He's with it, and he tried to find DeAndre Warren, but the ball bounced on the sideline. So it's Warren, Travis McAboo, Amarion Parker, David Labey, and Jack Young Jr. for Champaign Centennial. The Irish are with it now, and they've got Nelson Reynolds, Juan Madrigal, Noah Reynolds, David Williams, and Matt Williams in the starting lineup. There's the offensive board by Matt Williams, and now it's Noah Reynolds. Now Nelson Reynolds tries the 3, and he's off. You don't see him miss from deep often. He's a 52% shooter from three-point land.
Yeah, and when they feed the ball to him and he gets his looks, those balls are usually dropping in. Notre Dame, a very effective team behind the arc, and honestly, Larry, they're effective everywhere on the court and really pride themselves on that defense. As you saw early on, they forced that turnover, and I think they're going to be stifling tonight.
Chargers go inside and immediately back out. It's Jack Young Jr. to the left block using power, too strong on the layup. Reynolds passes ahead to Williams. Back out Nelson Reynolds. Now the Irish will settle down, slow it down into a half-court set. Noah Reynolds from 16. It's pure.
That's one thing that makes them such a dominant team in this Big 12 conference. They could slow it down and play in a half-court offense. They could also push that tempo and play in transition. So they can kind of meet any team where they're at, and kind of bodes well for them entering this tournament.
There's that strong defense. David Williams can't capitalize. Nelson Reynolds' second chance is off the mark. And now the Chargers run it in transition. Jack Young is fouled, almost. Rebound loose into the hands of the Irish. Physical play early on. Noah Reynolds to Nelson. Inside, and it's poked away. A lot of turnovers early on, and that's one thing that head coach Tom Locker for the Irish said that they need to limit. And there's the capitalization by David Labey, and we're tied at 2.
Yeah, you can see early on Notre Dame's going to match that tempo with Centennial. Could also take them out of their game and play it more half-court offense, like I said. Let's see which way they decide to play tonight. Right now we're playing the transition game.
Reynolds, the spin cycle. Nice move. Not enough spin on the layup. Warren gets through the full court press. Trapped in the corner now, and Young can't handle it. And John, anytime you talk turnovers in any sport, you can't turn it over too many times against a good team, especially a state-ranked P&D squad.
No, and this is certainly not a team that you want to turn the ball over and come back to haunt you. And Joey and I called the game last night as Centennial had a win over Normal West, but a large lead in that game, and Normal West creeped right back up, largely because of turnovers.
Well, it's the Reynolds brothers 5 and Centennial 2 right now. They have a chance to tie. The fadeaway jumper by Warren is just a bit off. And there's Reynolds with the board, the 6'3" point guard. He's gotten a lot of hype, was last year's Peoria Journal Star Area Player of the Year in the big school division. So anytime you talk Noah Reynolds, he's a player that generates a lot of looks, and he's getting some D1 looks right now, a lot of D2 offers, but in talking with Tom Locker, he says unequivocally he's a D1 player.
Yeah, and you look at him, he's got that 6'3" frame, good size, could shoot the 3 ball, could take it inside, good ball movement and passer. So it's hard to see he doesn't land on a D1 team somewhere.
There on the other end, you saw Matt Williams lay up. Now Warren's going to try the 3, and the rebound falls into the hands of Matt Williams. Reynolds skips ahead. Williams, the big fella from deep. Rebound Warren. Now we see some transition offense. Labey, and Young goes up and under.
Larry Jack Young Jr. was very effective for Centennial last night. Got inside quite a bit, made it hard on Normal West, and I think he's going to try to do that again tonight.
We will get our first mask timeout at the next dead ball. Here's Juan Madrigal, a player who stepped up to be a big-time scorer for these Irish at times this year. David Williams on the dribble drive to the right block, and he is fouled. The block's going to be called on David Labey, and that will take us to our first mask timeout. Tonight's presentation of Big 12 boys basketball on ClutchSportsIL.com is brought to you by Uftring Nissan on Allen Road in Peoria. Test drive the latest exciting Nissan products, including the all-new 2021 Rogue and Sentra. Plus, save time and buy your car 100% online. Visit UfteringNissan.net today. And by Uftring Weston. Tonight's coverage is also brought to you by Uftring Weston Chevy Cadillac in Peoria. From the iconic Silverado and Blazer to the luxurious Cadillac XT4 and Escalade, Uftring Weston offers world-class sales and service right here in Peoria. Visit UfteringWeston.com today. And by Jaguar Land Rover Peoria on Allen Road. Take advantage of courtesy car specials and drive home a Jaguar or Land Rover for less than you might think. Jaguar Land Rover Peoria.com. Coming out of the first media timeout, mask timeout, whatever you want to call it. P&D up 7-4, hot start. 3 points for Nelson Reynolds, 2 for Noah Reynolds, and 2 for Matt Williams. And make it 1 for David Williams as he cashes in on his first free throw. And his second free throw is down. And John, you read through that list of names on the Irish roster. Obviously, the Reynolds brothers jump out. Matt Williams, the 6'6" senior forward, does as well. But there's so much depth behind him. It's really tough to focus on one guy.
Yeah, there's certainly so much talent on this team, and you look at the 5 guys, you also go to your bench and you look at that young talent. You got 6'7" freshman Cooper Koch. You also have 6'8" freshman Leighton Somerville, son of Marcellus Somerville, former Bradley star. This is a young team that's only going to continue to get better as the years go on.
Champaign Centennial's getting better as the game goes on. Warren knocks down the 3. Now the Irish working on their response. Williams. Now it's Madrigal on the drive. Skip pass out to Colin Schuler. Inside, and the nice dish. That's Madrigal with his first 2 points.
That's one player who's really developed as the years have went on. Didn't get a whole lot of varsity time last year off the bench, but really kind of came into his own this year. Larry had 20 points in that win over Washington earlier in the season, so that's another player to watch outside of Reynolds, another good guard that they have production from.
Centennial has a strong guard core themselves, led by Warren and McAboo. Here's Warren again from deep. It's back-to-back. He's got 6 points.
And he did that yesterday so many times against Normal West when they needed a bucket. Warren is not that guy you want to leave behind the arc and give him a look.
Noah Reynolds isn't a guy you want to leave open beyond the arc, and so the Chargers don't, and it results in a turnover. There we get some subs. The aforementioned Cooper Koch and Lathan Somerville check in the game for the Irish.
Especially with Jack Young Jr. and Mario Parker, you know, like to get inside that size on the floor with Koch and Somerville. Should help Notre Dame on the defensive end.
Warren and McAboo play catch in the backcourt. See that very complex P&D zone. It's a matchup zone, as defined by Tom Locker. I couldn't explain it to you. I'm no basketball coach.
It works for them, and it's certainly been effective for the last 2 years.
Look at the Chargers trying to break it, taking so much time. Warren says, I'm going to go over it all. but his three is off the mark. Second chance for Leby.
And sometimes that's the only option you have, is to try to shoot over it. It's hard to work that ball inside, especially, as we said, a 6'8" right in the middle.
Parker, he's going to try one. That's off. Another offensive board. Young Jr. goes down low, but Leby couldn't handle the pass. Bend, don't break.
Close game so far, and Centennial team is kind of finding and peaking, at the right time entering this postseason tournament. Saw them earlier in the season against Richwoods, where they looked really well. They have a well-balanced roster that can do a lot out here, Larry.
They do. They can push you in transition. They can slow it down into a successful half-court set. There's Somerville, the shake and bake, and the foul.
Really nice feed inside to Somerville, and when he gets positioned down there, it's a tough player to stop.
He certainly is, and you mentioned his dad, Marcellus. I had the opportunity to meet him earlier this year shooting a video with Bradley Athletics. And I mentioned Lathan, and he said, oh, he's going to be a big boy. He already is a big boy. He's taller than his dad.
Yeah. And still room to grow, potentially. 6'8" as a freshman.
He just passed his dad up in height during quarantine.
Might have those father-son one-on-one battles, I'm sure, in the gym or in the driveway.
Bet those are starting to get interesting.
Might have the upper hand on dad now.
Kurt Pegler did a story on the family when they moved back to Peoria earlier this year. And according to Marcellus, he said that Lathan beat him once so far, at least. McAboo in the left corner, needs to make something happen. Now Warren will hold, and it looks like the Chargers are going to be patient here and wait for the final shot.
Certainly looks that way, and it's tough to get through that Notre Dame zone. Might only have an option at a three here.
Leby waving through traffic, somehow finds the man underneath. The tip is up and in. I think that's Jack Young Jr. And wow, that's how the first quarter ends. PND by 1. We've talked a lot about PND and their defense, but the Chargers are right there.
Yeah, and anytime you look at records in the postseason, you kind of throw them out the door. You throw away all the stuff on paper. It's almost a fresh start. And we saw last night's game, Urbana. They actually didn't have a win at all on the season. Got their first win against Danville, a team that we saw with 2 Division I products on there. So, could be anybody's game any night. And Centennial certainly showing they're out here to fight today.
After the first quarter, we take this break to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by Uftring Nissan on Allen Road in Peoria. Test drive the latest exciting Nissan products, including the all-new 2021 Rogue and Sentra. Plus, save time and buy your car 100% online. Visit UfteringNissan.net today. And by Uftring Weston. Uftring Weston Chevy Cadillac in Peoria, from the iconic Silverado and Blazer to the luxurious Cadillac XT4 and Escalade. Uftring Weston offers world-class sales and service right here in Peoria. UfteringWeston.com today. And by Jaguar Land Rover Peoria on Allen Road. Take advantage of courtesy car specials and drive home a Jaguar Land Rover for less than you might think. JaguarLandRover.com. Cooper Koch starts off the second quarter with a bang.
Talked so much about Somerville and his dad, and shades of Cooper Koch's dad. JR played at Iowa. Another good talent in that family.
It's a family affair at PND between the Reynolds brothers, the Williams brothers. Of course, you had Connor and Declan Dillon, the twins, graduated last year at Winona State. Warren, another three.
Really finding his touch from beyond the arc.
Warren leads all scorers with 9 points, all from deep. Yesterday, John, he had an up-and-down game. He scored 16 points, all but 2 of which came in the third quarter. There's Leby fighting for the steal, but he turns it right back over. Somerville is pickpocketed. So the Chargers get another chance, and they capitalize. That's McAboo.
And that's one thing they're not going to do. Centennial is shy away on the defensive end, forcing a couple early turnovers. They're going to give Notre Dame a battle here tonight.
They're not selling out on defense either. Sometimes you'll see that from teams trying to go all out on steals. We saw the pass was tipped away, and the Chargers settled right back in on defense. They didn't try too hard and overcompensate. Fadeaway jumper from Nelson Reynolds is a little bit off. Chargers with a 1-point lead, looking to build on it. Warren weaving in and out. Shifty dribbler. Parker to Laby. Now back to Parker. He had 16 points last night, 6 of which came at the stripe. Warren trying to create a shot. And Parker walked.
I've seen Centennial get it done in transition behind the arc, but it's just tough to drive in on that zone. As you see there, a turnover. A little bit of a mental mistake, just kind of lost his footing, but I think Notre Dame is going to continue playing defense the way they are and see if that can carry them.
Nelson Reynolds drives and kicks. David Williams looking for his brother. Now swings it over to Reynolds. And now to Nelson Reynolds. The deep tray is well short. Physical battle for the board. Everybody's okay. Young Jr. from 15.
Jack Young Jr. can really battle his way inside, but he's also got that perimeter jump shot now. We saw that is effective in that Richwoods game. It's another well-talented player.
Post feed to Matt Williams, and he's called for the charge.
It's also big. Parker just taking that charge just now is big in the defensive end last night against Normal West. Had a couple, I believe he had a charge or two in that game, which helped power the Chargers to a opening round win.
The lob to Young, and he's blocked by Reynolds. He was having none of that. Now he takes it all the way into the paint. Athletic pass, 3 on the way from Williams. There's Nelson Reynolds with the board. Look at it, all of a sudden, the pace picking up.
Certainly has, just like it was to start the game. And both these teams get run. It's definitely exciting to watch.
There's the 3 from Reynolds, just off the front of the iron. Couldn't get the shooter's touch there. McAboo pushes off the miss, and Young can't hang on. Neither can Reynolds. Parker slices his way to the rack. Ball's loose. Parker gets it back, and that time he cashes in.
Larry, I think we talked a lot. Saw Centennial bring up that Richwoods game again. We've seen Notre Dame. Talk about that physicality in both teams. Certainly early on you could see that. It's definitely going to be a fight out here.
Of course, no state series this year, so this is as close as we will get to the IHSA state tournament. And anytime you see those games, it's always physical. So it has certainly been a battle so far. As we head to the mask timeout in this second quarter, we take this time to remind you that tonight's coverage is brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Peoria on Allen Road. Take advantage of courtesy car specials and drive home a Jaguar or Land Rover for less than you might think. JaguarLandRoverPeoria.com. And by Uftring Weston Chevy Cadillac in Peoria. From the iconic Silverado and Blazer to the luxurious Cadillac XT4 and Escalade, Uftring Weston offers world-class sales and service right here in Peoria. Visit UfteringWeston.com today. And also by Uftring Nissan on Allen Road. Test drive the latest exciting Nissan products, including the all-new 2021 Rogue and Sentra. Plus save time and buy your car 100% online. Visit UfteringNissan.net today. We thank Uftring for their support of high school sports coverage on ClutchSportsIL.com, and we thank you for joining us on this early Thursday afternoon. Peoria Notre Dame got out to an early lead, but the Chargers surging ahead here in this second quarter. PND led 13-12 after 1. Now the Chargers, that is, they're on a bit of a run. Juan Madrigal, the no-look pass. Nelson Reynolds. Reynolds bounces back from the miss. Madrigal in transition. David Williams passes up the 3.
I was going to say, sorry, we've seen a lot of turnovers here early on with both teams. Both teams like to get that and push it in transition. Something you'd expect when both teams are just going full force. Kind of lose track of the ball sometimes.
Noah Reynolds tried to drive. The lane was clogged up. Fouls on Leby, his first. Reynolds, first free throw is down. He's been pretty quiet today, John. We talk about Reynolds a lot, getting D1 looks, averaging 15 points per game for the Irish, the leading scorer. That was just his third point.
He's been effective on the boards tonight. And still playing that defense, pushing it in transition. I have a feeling we could see him start to pick it up a little bit here.
He's accustomed to playing in these big games, has played in 2 sectional championship games in his career at PND. Or I should say 1, but would have been 2 if they played Manual last year.
Almost had a chance to play in there. Fortunately, season was cut short. Had that statement dunk at the end of the Metamora game, which powered them to a regional championship.
Boy, oh boy, was that a dandy.
In front of a packed house. It feels a little different now with nobody here.
Warren, hop, skip, and a jump at the free throw line. He's got 11 points. John, is it just me or do the Irish look a little rushed?
I think they do a little bit. And this was a close game when they met the first time. PND came away with a win, but Centennial team, like I said, they're peaking at the right time, and they don't let up on defense, and they certainly aren't letting up on offense to start.
They're not playing afraid, and that's something you see when you play a state-ranked team. Some teams will come in already thinking they've lost. Certainly not the case with Tim Lavin's Chargers. Deep three from Warren. He is dialed in tonight. 14 points in the first half.
And Larry, you mentioned Tim Lavin. You got to think he's had a lot of experience and been in a lot of postseason games in his career.
Of course, nothing like this. Big 12 tournament, usually not a thing that's played. Regular season title is won outright before teams move into regionals. The hook shot response is no good from Williams. Chargers with a chance to go up double digits. Leby blocked from behind, gets it back. Third opportunity, he'll dribble it out.
That's one thing they're showing their strong suit right now is getting those rebounds. That's where they were effective yesterday, and getting a lot of second chance rebounds as well and second chance points.
The dribble drive by D, and a block is called, so it stays here. That one's gonna go on Nelson Reynolds. There you see Colin Schuler come in and David Williams check out. Warren triggers it in.
And Larry, we don't see Peoria Notre Dame play from behind a whole lot. So
No.
early on, Centennial's got them where they want them.
Nice pass down low. Parker can't finish through contact. There's another board by Reynolds. It looks like they're going to get Leby on the block, his second. Chargers up 9 after they trailed early. Big second quarter. Centennial's been led by 14 points by DeAndre Warren. Scoring's been evenly distributed for the Irish. 3 goes halfway down for Reynolds. He's just got 3 points. Cooper Koch also has 3. Somerville has 3. And Madrigal now has 4 points. A much-needed bucket for the Irish, snapping a scoreless streak of a few minutes.
And how about that pass by Schuler? Really nice tip pass to Madrigal in transition. Pretty finish there. And I think that's the basket that Notre Dame needed.
We'll see if it helps them settle in on defense. But John Camosa, I would not be shocked to see the Chargers hold for the final shot of the half. They've got the momentum, so why not?
They could, and I think that's something Tim Lavin might want. You don't want to turn the ball over, which they've done quite a bit, and give Notre Dame a chance at scoring again to close out this quarter.
Under 30 seconds now.
Certainly would suit Notre Dame, but that put Centennial in a bad spot and definitely put the momentum back on the Irish.
The drive and kick, it's Leby. Now Parker has the open look and the bank is open. Reynolds weaves through traffic, needs to make something happen. What a shot and what a make! If that doesn't give you momentum going into the half, I don't know what will.
Yeah, they certainly needed a bucket right there, and what a tough three to hit, but he gets it to fall, and the Irish are right back into this one. It should be a really good second half.
Oh my. A fast-paced first half ends with a circus shot by Reynolds, but you see the Chargers still out in front, 29-21. John Camosa, what do you think the biggest factor of that first half was?
We talked so much before the game about Notre Dame stifling zone defense, and Centennial certainly didn't back down from it. They were playing their game, working the ball inside, found Jack Young, Amarian Parker, and then ultimately Warren, hitting those threes from beyond the arc. And that's something that he was so effective doing yesterday. It kind of carried over to today. So their game hasn't shifted. They really haven't played to Notre Dame's game, and it hasn't thrown them off. They've been still playing in their comfort zone.
They certainly have, and especially in the end of that second quarter, the Irish started to pick it back up a little bit. We will take a brief break to get the official halftime stats, but unofficially, DeAndre Warren leads all scorers with 14 points, really willing the Chargers to that lead. And as for the Irish, it's 6 points from Noah Reynolds, but an otherwise evenly distributed effort. Thank you for joining us tonight on ClutchSportsIL.com. We want to remind you that we've got 2 more games coming up after this. It'll be Manual versus Champaign Central coming up at 6 o'clock, followed by Urbana taking on the home team, the Normal Community Ironmen. That game is at 8 o'clock, and Joey Wright will be on the call with John Camosa for that one. But for now, we'll step aside and be back in a few minutes to get you set for the second half of action between Champaign Centennial and Peoria Notre Dame. Thanks for joining us. Welcome back inside the West Gym at Normal Community High School. It's quarterfinal action in the Big 12 Boys Basketball Tournament with top-seeded PND down by 8 points to the Champaign Centennial Chargers. John, looking at the first half stats, it was a big first half for DeAndre Warren, leading all scorers with 14 points. He was really the big story in the first half.
Yeah, and we've seen, in this couple games we've seen a lot of production out of him, and no different today. But that's a costly turnover for Centennial to start. Not the momentum you want to give right back to Notre Dame after ending it on that nice three by Reynolds in the first half.
No, it certainly isn't. So the Irish will have a chance to cut into that 8-point deficit. John Camosa talking about that three was hit by Noah Reynolds, a circus shot, which he jumped. Somehow made his way through 2 defenders and knocked it down. Can't knock down that one, though. And the Chargers are not hurt by their turnover.
Yeah, Larry, and we don't have that IHSA state tournament that we're always used to, but circus shots shouldn't be a surprise in March.
It's still March. Win or go home. Young can't get the nice touch inside over Williams, so the big fella walks it up. Passes it off to his brother David, and now it's Juan Madrigal.
And Matt Williams, if that's the matchup they stay with down there, he'll have his hands full when he takes Jack Young one-on-one. He's certainly a very highly effective player in the paint.
Reynolds, one of the leaders for this state-ranked squad. Williams as well. He can't connect from long range. And the rebound is tipped out off of DeAndre Warren, so it stays with PND. Irish, the top seed in this Big 12 tournament, 9-1 in conference play. Their only loss came versus Peoria on February 26th. We broadcast that game on ClutchSportsIL.com. It was a classic, one of the better games we've seen all year. Reynolds is stripped from behind. Here comes David Labey. Takes it all the way himself, high off the glass and in.
Have a miscommunication pass there.
Another turnover for PND. John, we briefly touched on that in the first half. They just look a tad rushed.
Yeah, and, in a lot of games this year and games that we've seen, we're not too used to seeing Notre Dame turn the ball over, but they've turned it over quite a bit today.
Jack Young was wide open, so Madrigal had no choice but to give out the foul.
And Larry, there's
Madrigal's first.
There's Jack Young again, and they found him so many times down low, taking over for Delano Terry, who we haven't seen his absence. He's kind of picking up that workload.
First free throw is nothing but nylon. So quiet in here, you can almost hear the swish. On our court mic. Young up to an unofficial 5. Nice free throw routine. Behind the back. Second one is off the mark, but Warren gets the Chargers another chance. Warren has been everywhere Centennial needs him to be. Marion Parker orchestrates the offense. Trapped in the double team now. Trying to find the open man. Now Warren holds near half court.
One thing about Parker, too, really patient with the ball. He'll turn it over, but not a ton. Just a good ball handler, too. See, he gets double teamed. Normal West, when they put pressure on him yesterday, he kind of dribbles away out. Doing a little bit of that today as well.
That's on Matt Williams, his second, team's third foul. Warren lobs into the backcourt to McAboo. Picked up by David Williams. What a find to Young, who capitalizes.
There he is again, the third straight trip down, right in the paint.
Reynolds, the dish to Madrigal, and another nice dish. And Williams gets the friendly roll off the front of the iron. Madrigal with a no-look pass, and both teams showing some flashy passing, but the Irish are going to need to pick up some stops to get back within 10.
Larry, what kind of adjustments do you think they'll make to limit Young, because he's really been effective?
as Warren knocks down that one. Well, can't focus too much on Young, otherwise you get Warren lighting it up. He's got 16 now.
That's the thing, like you said, you focus in on Warren, you focus in on Young, you got Amari on Parker. You got Travis McAboo. There's a lot of depth on this team. When you have a lot of depth, it's a recipe for success.
And that stoppage in play brings us to our first mask timeout of the second half. And we take this opportunity to remind you that tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Uftring Nissan on Allen Road in Peoria. Test drive the latest exciting Nissan products, including the all-new 2021 Rogue and Sentra. Plus, save time and buy your car 100% online. Oh, boy. Visit UfteringNissan.net today. And by Uftring Weston. Uftring Weston Chevy Cadillac in Peoria. From the iconic Silverado and Blazer to the luxurious Cadillac XT4 and Escalade, Uftring Weston offers world-class sales and service right here in Peoria. UfteringWeston.com today. And last but not least, by Jaguar Land Rover Peoria on Allen Road. Take advantage of courtesy car specials and drive home a Jaguar or Land Rover for less than you might think. Jaguar Land Rover Peoria.com. Thanks to Uftring for their partnership throughout this basketball season. Couldn't do it without their support. Irish basketball out of the mask timeout. You wonder what the message was in Tom Locker's huddle. Irish down 13. Noah Reynolds, the swim move. Second chance opportunity, Cooper Koch.
Well, if they talked about that, it's definitely working. Getting that ball inside, Williams and Koch with a nice little hook shot there. And, you know, you trade places there with Centennial, basket for basket in the post, and Centennial certainly likes to do that. Maybe the Irish can get some buckets of their own down there.
You hear the Irish bench chanting defense. Physical defense for the Irish. It always is, but it's picked up on this possession. Parker cross court to Warren. Back to Parker. McAboo trapped in the corner. Somehow gets it to Leby. He's in trouble. Jack Young can't finish.
Really good help side defense there. And Notre Dame can keep that up and pressure them. Might bode well for them in these next 3 minutes.
Noah Reynolds for three. He knew it was in.
Larry, we were kind of waiting for him to heat up there, and that might be a start. Knocks down that three. First one since the halftime three.
His first points of the second half come at a big time. He's the Energizer Bunny and senior leader for this team, and whenever you start struggling, those are the guys you turn to.
Certainly are, and he's been in these positions, been down in games, pressure situations. See how this senior veteran leader can handle.
For those who watched the Irish's lone loss to Peoria this year, Reynolds was absent. You got to figure that was a lot of the reason they did not win that game. There's Jack Young putting it in for 2 more points. He's approaching double figures with 9. Somerville wanted to go to work, and now it's back out to Noah Reynolds.
Irish doing a good job of working that ball around, playing for a good look. Almost got to be conservative when you're down 10. Try to get the best bucket you can.
At this point in the game, you can afford to be very patient and wait for the best look. Somerville walked with it. He doesn't agree with the call. Could have gone either way.
Just had one extra step.
And a call like that takes wind out of your sails as you hear Tom Locker clapping it up, trying to keep the energy high. He said the Irish, they were fired up on the bus ride over. They had a great last practice of the season last night. They were ready to go for this game, but the Chargers have come out with a lot of energy of their own. McAboo. Great ball movement for the Chargers, leading to a lot of easy buckets.
Yeah, we mentioned his name, you know, outside of Warren and Young, McAboo's really talented and played a big part in the Normal West game last night.
Cooper Koch with 2 more points. He's up to 7, past his average of 5. So the 6'7" freshman stepping up in a big way. They need him.
Certainly do, and 2 freshmen out there. See if they could get some production out of Somerville as well.
Two guys that are sure to be D1 prospects once they hit their junior year or so. David Labey weaving in and out. McAboo to Warren. Warren made it rain from three yesterday with 4 of them. He's got 4 tonight as well. Here's Koch, the high arcing 3. A lot of contact underneath the basket. And the call is gonna go on PND. Locker's quite confused.
Hard fall there from Somerville.
Somerville, again, doesn't agree with it. That's his first. Team's 4th. Irish down 10, in case you're just joining us. The Chargers are on upset watch, looking to defeat state-ranked and top-seeded PND. They got down early in the first quarter, had a big second quarter, and went to the half up 29-21. They've continued to play well in the third quarter. McAboo was open, but he got hacked. And it's going to be on the Chargers. We'll see who the call is on. It's going to be on McAboo as he's fighting for the pass. That's his 3rd foul, something to watch.
Centennial's got to like where they're at right now, having a lead, but even 10 points for the Irish isn't insurmountable. So
not all that comfortable against a team as good and as experienced as PND. Nelson Reynolds drains it.
And just as we say that, there's a 3 that gets them right back into the game. I think that's what Tom Locker was looking for there out of that possession.
30-second timeout, PND.
PND takes the timeout after the 3. Usually you'd think it would be Tim Lavin taking the timeout, but Coach Locker wants to take a quick 30 seconds to chat it over, and you look inside that PND huddle. You see Nelson Reynolds in the center of your screen. His brother Noah to the right. Quite the dynamic duo, those two. Noah Reynolds playing for a scholarship this year, essentially. One of the best uncommitted players in the entire state.
Oh, it certainly is. And Tom Locker said, you know, getting a lot of those high D2 looks. Some Division I teams starting to flow in, but I certainly see him as a D1 player.
I think there are a few local schools that should give him a look. I'll leave it at that. DeAndre Warren playing catch in the backcourt with Conley D.
One might start with a B or an I.
Who knows? 7 seconds. Chargers got to get something going. Parker heaves it up from way downtown and comes up just short. So heading into the 4th quarter, it's Centennial 40, PND 33. And before we head to the 4th quarter, we take this time to remind you that tonight's broadcast and entire coverage, all 3 games, are brought to you by Uftring Nissan on Allen Road in Peoria. Test drive the latest exciting Nissan products, including the all-new 2021 Rogue and Sentra. Plus, save time and buy your car 100% online. Visit UfteringNissan.net today. And by Uftring Weston Chevy Cadillac in Peoria. From the iconic Silverado and Blazer to the luxurious Cadillac XT4 and Escalade, Uftring Weston offers world-class sales and service right here in Peoria. Visit UfteringWeston.com today. And finally, by Jaguar Land Rover Peoria on Allen Road. Take advantage of courtesy car specials and drive home a Jaguar or Land Rover for less than you might think. Jaguar Land Rover Peoria.com. We thank you for joining us tonight on ClutchSportsIL.com, a Big 12 boys basketball tournament triple header. First of which could have an upset brewing. Top-seeded Irish down 7, headed to the 4th quarter. Nelson Reynolds snaps it through the twine to start the 4th quarter, and here come the Irish.
Big spark there for Nelson Reynolds. Had that 3 in the corner in the 3rd to close. It starts out hot in the 4th with that one. We talked early in the game about him being a hot 3-point shooter behind the arc, and he's showing that right now.
Jack Young has been a spark for the Chargers. Kicked it out there, and now it's Parker with it. This is something that we've seen on every Centennial possession tonight, John Camosa. Playing catch, cross court in the backcourt. And usually they're patient enough to find a shot down low.
Yeah, and I think now that they've seen their lead dwindle a little bit, they're going to be a little bit more patient, not force turnover, or not, I should say, not commit turnovers. This isn't a team you want to give them any room to get back in it.
Certainly isn't. Warren with 16 points, into the corner and back up to Parker, and right now it's just a game of keep away. Labey finally penetrates, and now it's Warren again.
A lot of chatter from Tom Locker, wants his guys to pressure that ball. You got to think, Larry, no shot clock right there. You talked about getting inside and almost had that look.
And that was a tough look, but an open one. And sometimes those are the looks that you just have to take against this Irish team that plays a shifty matchup zone. The Irish only allow 43.4 points per game. So Centennial's right there. They've kept Irish well below their average of 63 points a game.
Yeah, and that back and forth keep away could be irritating if you're the Irish. And
Conley D finishes through contact, and he is fired up.
I think we're in for a good first game of this triple header, Larry.
Boy, are we ever. Nelson Reynolds' three is off. Now the Chargers with the opportunity to go up 8 or 9.
Notre Dame's got to be careful here. Like I said, not pulling that defender out to try to get the ball so you don't leave another open man. Jack Young there, tough shot.
Jack Young had his feet slipped out from under him. Perhaps a wet spot on the floor, and we're going to have a few more wet spots on the floor as Reynolds hits the deck there. And he'll go to the free throw line. Foul's on D, his first foul, so he's not in any sort of foul trouble. 4 fouls on the Irish, 3 on Centennial. Reynolds 1 for 2 at the line tonight, make it 2 for 3. And he's a slashing guard, John. He's got that shooting ability, but a lot of the time you see him driving, you see him finishing through contact, even trying to dunk sometimes, but tonight it's been stymied.
Certainly has. He can really get going. He clicks on all cylinders tonight. I think Centennial knew that coming in, putting a little bit of pressure on him. Notre Dame still finding its balance, getting some other players going, as in his brother, Nelson Reynolds.
That lead is trimmed back down to 4. Reynolds up to 11 points. Nearly a forced turnover by the Irish. And we talked about turnovers a lot in the first half, John, but in the second half, they've slowed down a little bit. Both teams kind of settling in.
I think that a lot of that has to do with Centennial playing that run and gun style, and as we just talked about, playing a little keep away here. They're going to be very conservative. Tim Lavin doesn't want to have his team turn the ball over and give Irish any buckets in transition.
5 minutes and 30 seconds is the only clock that the Chargers have to abide by. Foul's going to be on the floor. No and one for Jack Young Jr. there. Junior forward doing a great job against the likes of Matt Williams, Cooper Koch, Lathan Somerville down low. Triggered into the backcourt to Young. Now Parker back to Young.
Centennial can take their time without that shot clock. Still tough to work it around this high-pressure defense from Notre Dame, but Centennial guarding it well.
There's a turnover. Madrigal out in front. Euro steps in the lane, and a block is going to be called. I think that's going to be on McAboo. He's got to be careful now. He's got 4 fouls. And that brings us to our final masked timeout of the ball game, a crucial timeout for both sides, and we take this time to remind you that all 3 games of tonight's coverage are brought to you by Uftring Nissan on Allen Road in Peoria. Test drive the latest exciting Nissan products, including the all-new 2021 Rogue and Sentra, plus save time and buy your car 100% online. Visit UfteringNissan.net today. And by Uftring Weston Chevy Cadillac in Peoria. From the iconic Silverado and Blazer to the luxurious Cadillac XT4 and Escalade, Uftring Weston offers world-class sales and service right here in Peoria. Visit UfteringWeston.com today. and by Jaguar Land Rover Peoria on Allen Road. Take advantage of courtesy car specials and drive home a Jag or Land Rover for less than you might think. Jaguar Land Rover Peoria.com. It'll be Irish ball out of the mask timeout. And one thing that I've noticed tonight, John, is those Irish huddles are markedly quicker than Tim Lavin's for the Chargers.
All right, I think Notre Dame kind of knows what they want out here. I'm sure they've talked a lot all season, but I think Tim Lavin, being in this position where you have the opportunity to knock off a top seed, you're going to put a little more thought into your strategy.
Nelson Reynolds tries to slash, and he's fouled. It's going to be a charge. A hard charge at that, as Parker takes some time to get up.
And Larry, you touched on him being a slasher, going to the basket, drawing contact, and he's done that tonight, just throwing his whole body out there, not afraid to hang up in the air and bang some bodies.
Parker trapped by the PND defense, and it forces a Lavin timeout. So Centennial goes right back to the left sideline. And that's the thing with this PND defense, John. If you get trapped in the backcourt in a corner or up against the sideline, you've got no wiggle room.
Yeah, you certainly don't, and it always poses a problem for the opposing team. You know, going back to that lone loss that Notre Dame had against Peoria High, we saw that defensive pressure really pick up late. Got about 4:38 left. See if they apply that same thing. Now only down 4. I think Tim Lavin wants to come out of this timeout and tell his team to kind of slow the tempo down like they've been doing and guard that ball.
In case you're just joining us, PND got out to an early lead. They started the game up 7-2, but since then, it's really been all Chargers. DeAndre Warren leading all scorers with 16 points, 14 of which came in the first half, and that really set the tone. Here's McAboo, again trapped on the sideline, gets it to Parker. Now it's Young. Warren, too short. Young, second chance opportunity. Now the Chargers slow it down once again. Parker is off. Now the Irish have an opportunity.
Good job there for Madrigal to get that off before it could have been a travel easily. Gets that pass off. It goes right back to Centennial.
Warren jets out ahead, and a foul is called. I think that's going to be on Madrigal. Brought his hands down a little bit too far for the officials' liking. Just a 4-point game, but every possession that results in points for the Chargers, you start to feel it getting later and later.
I'd say you don't have that desperation feel with it only being a 4-point game, but like you said, the scores just kind of sat there at 42-38. You got to think, we got to start getting something going here.
With that last foul, the Chargers are now in the bonus. Warren cashes in on the second. Chargers up by 5. They've held the lead for the entire second half. Noah Reynolds misses left. You hear Tom Locker, the PND bench, saying, need a stop, need a stop, I'd say.
Yeah, certainly. And you know, we talked with him before the game saying, I hope we could be here the full 3 days, and certainly not what you want as a first day exit. Centennial would certainly like to hold on for another day or so.
And they're forced to take another timeout. PND's defense, despite the Irish being down, they've certainly done a good job, especially in this fourth quarter. We take this timeout to remind you that we'll have 2 more games tonight. You're enjoying this one? Well, stay tuned for Champaign Central against Peoria Manual coming up next at 6 p.m. right here on ClutchSportsIL.com. And at 8 p.m., it's Urbana taking on the host of these games, at least, Normal Community. Urbana with a big upset victory yesterday over Danville. That really surprised me. A 1-point win for the Tigers. That was their first win of the season. We'll see if they can stay hot. Shout out to our entire Clutch Sports media crew. John Michael, Francisco Alonso, Matt Harrington, Josh Schwam. Back in our Peoria studio. And it's Larry Larson and John Camosa in with you in the booth. McAboo Hounded by Williams and Reynolds. He's in trouble, finds the open Warren, and he's gonna dribble back out.
Probably a smart move there from Warren. Elect to dribble that back out, going right up against bigger Matt Williams. I think if you're Centennial, you want to try keep playing that keep-away game.
And John, it comes down to the question, do you take points or time off the clock at this point in the game?
I think you want to take time off the clock in a game this close, and you got to know if you go to the basket, Notre Dame's going to apply that pressure, but they're doing a good job of, you know, working that ball around and then finding that open man, which we've seen a couple times happen. If you're Notre Dame, you really got to get going here on offense if you're going to get back into this game.
Bonus free throws for Macaboo. And the second one is in and out. Door open for the Irish. Reynolds to the rack for two.
There's another slash that you talked about. Great take from Reynolds. It's a basket they needed, and that came very quick. Only 3 seconds came off the clock. If you're Irish, you got to score in bunches and score fast.
All fourth quarter, it's been a keep-away game for the Chargers. And a little quicker on offense for the Irish. You see a lot of those tries from Reynolds or others just going right to the rack, trying to lay it up and in. We've seen charges, blocks, turnovers, travels, you name it. Just little mistakes have really come back to bite PND.
Yeah, and, you know, this late in the game now, we talked about all those little things that can come back to kind of haunt you in a game that's close, but we've seen Centennial at the line. We might see Notre Dame at the line. I feel like this is a type of game, as close as it is, that free throws could really prove to be the difference.
Parker stares into the double team and gets across the timeline. Triple teamed up there. Somehow gets it away, but Reynolds flies in, but he's called for the foul. Good defense from Reynolds. You see Tom Locker applauding the effort. Good effort, but
a little bit of a tie. Did Notre Dame get that ball back? Or
I'm not sure.
Because Lavin doesn't look too pleased.
Trying to listen in here.
I think they might have called a foul on, was it?
Might have called a foul on Centennial.
Yeah,
it is on Macaboo, and Macaboo is fouled out.
Wow.
That is a big foul call, so it explains why Lavin isn't happy. But Reynolds jumped in, tried to get the steal, apparently got the basketball, and Macaboo fouled him. So Macaboo's done for the game, finishes with 5 points. Reynolds pulls up, can't get the shooter's touch, and a push is called. Conley D had his hands on it, but was pushed from behind, and now we'll go to the other 15-foot line.
And Larry, with Macaboo going out, a little over 2:41 left in this game, that's big for, or I should say that's big for the Irish to have him off the floor, but if you're Centennial, that's a huge blow. Really good free throw shooter there too, so going to have to pick up the slack elsewhere.
Shoe tying timeout.
We could even hear him tying a shoe.
Yeah, if you listen close enough. Now we're ready to shoot the bonus free throws. One more foul, and Centennial's in the double bonus. D doesn't get a second one.
Talked about free throws being crucial, and that's not the miss you want right there.
Big possession for the Irish. Chance to cut it down to one possession. Matt Williams, Noah Reynolds now. Spinning, finding a way for two.
Really nice take. Those last two takes we've seen from just slicing through the defense there and getting up. And
Juan Madrigal comes up with it, and a timeout is taken by Tom Locker. And now the Irish, out of the huddle, will have the chance to tie or take the lead for the first time in the second half.
I think this is where it might kind of shift in Notre Dame's favor as far as getting that momentum back. But we saw with that triple team and that turnover and foul on Macaboo and how good their defense can be, the Irish are, going to rely on defense heavy here. Especially if they can get a bucket right out of this timeout.
Of course. Then that really kind of stretches out these last 2 minutes. We've had these last 4 minutes kind of be stretched out. Centennial just doing its best to keep the clock running. The Irish have committed a lot of fouls. If they foul once more, the Chargers are into the double bonus. So it'll be interesting to watch that play out. But certainly you feel the momentum on the side of PND.
Yeah, and you talk about that experience. We talked about last year and them going on that run, reaching the sectional championship, and a lot of those players being a part of that team carrying over to this season. Larry, if you look at last year and you look at this year, Notre Dame's been in a lot of close games, so I think they're kind of primed and ready for a situation like this.
Irish on a fourth quarter charge. They've been trailing the entire second half. Noah Reynolds directs traffic. Wants a screen from Williams. Now here's Matt Williams with it. Now looks like the Irish are going to be patient. Reynolds again to the rack. He had the ball poked away by Leby. There goes Amarion Parker driving on Williams, and he's fouled. He'll shoot 2.
Chance for Centennial to add to that lead with free throws from Parker. These will be big coming up.
Needless to say, momentum right now favors the Irish, but like you say, John, big time 2 shots coming up. Parker has 2 points to our tally so far. There's definitely been a big piece. Can't make the first. Yesterday he was 6 for 9 at the line.
Last 2 from the charity stripe have been misses, and little things like this can come back to haunt you.
Big free throw. He knocks that one down. Charger lead back up to 3. Irish working it around the arc. Noah Reynolds. Mano a mano. Now through traffic. There's Nelson Reynolds, the drive and kick. Noah inside, lays it up, but he's called for the charge. Tom Locker is livid. That's the second charge called on Reynolds in the second half. Oh boy.
And if you're Locker, you don't want to get a technical here. But I think that call could go either way. Larry.
Locker does have to be careful. Certainly gave the official an earful. Now the Chargers have to break the full court press. Warren, the heave to Leby, and he cashes in. A big 2 points there. PND needs to hurry, and Noah Reynolds lays it in for 2, and a timeout's taken by PND. That lead back down to 3.
Good job from the Irish there to get a quick bucket, not letting a charge call affect them too much, but that was definitely a big call there that kind of translated.
Oh, yeah.
It could have been a lot different scenario.
There have been a few of those. We saw the call on Travis McAboo that fouled him out of the game. I want to say about 2 minutes of gameplay ago when Reynolds went for the steal. And Reynolds has been called for 2 charges, so those have both created a stir, to say the least. And that foul on Reynolds is the team's 11th.
Yeah, and looking over at that score table, I believe the Irish won. I believe he has one timeout left for Tom Locker, so let's see where they elect to use it. But you certainly want to get that stop right here. This would be the big moment of the game for the Irish. If you're Centennial, how do you kind of fight through that pressure, Larry? You know Notre Dame's going to press you hard.
Warren's got the entire baseline to work with. Parker across the timeline. Chargers in no rush. Conley D reverses for 2.
Really nice take there from D.
Now the Irish need something. Reynolds the step back. Thought he had it. Rebound loose. Madrigal kept it in but can't recover, and a jump ball is called. Possession arrow favors the Chargers. Boy, are they fired up, and John, I think they're starting to feel it. Just 26 seconds left on the clock against the top-seeded Irish.
And what a game out of this opening game of the day of the quarterfinals. Man, It's going to send him to the line.
Yes, before the ball is inbounded, a foul. That's probably not the worst thing in the world for the Irish. Fouls on Reynolds, his third. And so now Parker will shoot 2 free throws. We saw him go 1 for 2 a few moments ago. Drains the first. That lead is up to 6.
A little bit of chatter between Reynolds and Laby down there and separate the two. You don't want to get any technicals in this situation. Nothing, mental mistakes late in the game like that.
Well, one thing's for certain, Reynolds does not want this to be his last high school game. Gone through the ringer this year. Parker's second free throw snaps through the twine. Here comes Noah to the left block. Gets to the rack and lays it in. Timeout PND. Not over yet, but it's going to take a lot for the Irish to make up a 5-point deficit with 18.7 remaining. And you talk about Noah Reynolds, who's now up to 19 points this game, really putting on quite the fourth quarter effort. Seems like one of the only Irish players who can score in this fourth quarter. Him and his brother Nelson transferred to Maryville High School up in northwest Indiana. Indiana ruled that they could not play due to transfer rules. They transferred back to PND, thinking, you know, who knows if there's going to be a season. And then, of course, out of thin air, seemingly, there was a high school season. So certainly a roller coaster for the Reynolds brothers and really everybody involved with Illinois high school basketball. But it could all come to an end here in 18 seconds time.
Yeah, a lot of adversity they've had a battle with the COVID shutdown, and even going back to last year, certainly want to try everything they can in this last 18 seconds to give themselves a chance.
Centennial trying to move on to the semifinals tomorrow. Jack Young gets it. There's Warren wide open all by himself. He's fouled and one. That could be the dagger. DeAndre Warren, 18 points. And the Chargers are going to upset the top-ranked Irish in the Big 12 Conference Tournament.
Yeah, and Centennial coming out hot. Last night's game holding on to a close one, and then what a game today to really bring that momentum into playing top seed Notre Dame and coming out with a win.
Warren finishes the three-point play. He's got 19 points. Noah Reynolds pulls up from way downtown. It's off. David Laby the rebound, and that'll do it. The Chargers shock the Big 12 Conference, and they are moving on after upsetting the #1 seed Peoria Notre Dame Irish.
Anyway, we saw Urbana knock off Danville last night. We've seen an opening game today fall in the hands of the Chargers, knocking off Notre Dame.
Wow.
Tough way to end the season.
It certainly is for the Irish as they walk out of the court dejected, and a different story for the Chargers as they will live to see another day. And we watch the Irish walk out as Noah Reynolds talks to his brother Nelson the entire way out. Lessons learned in losses like these. Irish certainly aren't used to losing in this Big 12 conference. That's just their second loss all year. They finished the season 14-2. As for the Chargers, they move on to play tomorrow as they improve their record to 7-5. So you see the Chargers logo there, and they go charging on to tomorrow. Wow.
Yeah, it was a really good win for the Centennial Chargers, and really, like I said, taking that momentum from last night, carrying it over to today, and this sure looks like a team that could potentially make a championship game here.
Well, dare we say we've got a few Cinderella candidates in the Big 12 Conference Tournament, and I think the Chargers have filled out their application. They will play tomorrow. Got to pull up the bracket, and we'll see who they play. They will play the winner of our next game, Manual versus Champaign Central, which is also sure to be a good one.
Yeah, it certainly will be. You know, we've seen Manual a couple times this year. Well polished, likes to push it in transition as well. So we see who Centennial can get tomorrow's game.
And, of course, other action around the conference tonight. Richwoods will take on Peoria. You saw Peoria last night defeat Bloomington on ClutchSportsIL.com. That game gets underway at 6 o'clock at Richwoods. So that game will not be here, not streamed on ClutchSportsIL.com, but at 8 o'clock, we will have Urbana versus Normal Community. And the winner of that game will play the winner of Peoria versus Richwood. So it's been a tournament full of surprises so far, needless to say.
Certainly has. And Larry, any final thoughts tonight's game?
There's a lot to unpack. And the one thing that stood out to me was Noah Reynolds' effort in the fourth quarter. I mean, he was really trying to will his team to victory, will them back into the game, down double digits in the second half, down at the halftime locker room. You saw him hit that circus shot to send his team into the locker room. You thought maybe that would give them momentum coming out, but you just got to credit the Chargers. They kept charging ahead. Sorry, that was low-hanging fruit right there, but boy, they played a complete game.
Yeah.
They didn't just start well or finish strong. They played well all throughout, and that's what you have to do to beat Tom Locker's squad.
Yeah, I thought they handled that defensive pressure really well. They did a good job of being patient, working that ball around, and then finding those openings for some looks down low. But most times that Notre Dame defense can suffocate you, and they ultimately hung on tonight for the upset.
So that about does it for the first game of our triple header on ClutchSportsIL.com. As you see on our game clock, we've got about 42 minutes until game time between Peoria Manual and Champaign Central. Stay locked on ClutchSportsIL.com. Refresh your browser here in a few minutes. We'll have the new YouTube link up here shortly, so stay tuned for that. But for now, for our entire Clutch Sports media team at Normal Community High School, John Michael on the tripod, best cameraman in the business. Matt Harrington roaming the sidelines on social media. Francisco Alonso along for the ride as well. Joey Wright at the controls. And my partner, John Camosa. I'm Larry Larson saying we will talk to you in about 40 minutes for Manual and Champaign Central. We'll be right back.